Hey there, let me try and break down the two authors of the flood story in a little bit more detail for you. In Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 8, we have an explanation of why the flood is necessary and a statement about how Noah is an exception to that coming destruction. In Genesis chapter 6, verses 9 through 13, we have a statement about how Noah is going to be an exception to this coming destruction, and then an explanation of why the flood is necessary. In Genesis chapter 6, verses 14 through 22, Noah is given instructions on how to survive the flood and told to bring one pair of every kind of animals onto the ark. In Genesis chapter 7, verses 1 through 5, Noah is given instructions on how to survive the flood and told to bring on 7 pairs of every clean animal and 1 pair of every unclean animal. He's then described as getting in the ark. In Genesis chapter 7, verses 6 through 10, Noah is described as getting in the ark with a single pair of animals. As you can see here, there are 2 instances of each of these elements of the narrative, and the repetition is redundant. With respect to the instructions, they flatly contradict each other in terms of the number of animals to be brought onto the ark. And with respect to entering into the ark, well, you can only get on the ark once. Individual authors do not write like this. Individual authors do not write like this in the ancient Near East, and individual authors do not write like this today. Individual authors don't write like this because having contradictions in your story undermines whatever point you were trying to make in your telling of it. It's the job of biblical scholars to try to come up with the best explanation for these literary and narrative features that they can. And the best explanation that they've come up with is that the flood story that we have today in our canonized text originally existed as 2 independent flood accounts that were later edited together. Once we get to Genesis chapter 8, we see that Noah offers a sacrifice. Well, clearly this story must go with the version of the flood story where Noah brings on 7 pairs of clean animals so that he can offer a sacrifice without leading to the extinction of that animal species. When we get to Genesis chapter 9, we see that humanity is given permission for the very first time to take animal life. Well, clearly that can't go with a story where Noah offers a sacrifice, and can't go with a story where Noah brings on 7 pairs of clean animals so that he can offer a sacrifice. This must connect to the other version of the story, where Noah brings on only a single pair of animals and does not offer a sacrifice. In Genesis chapter 9, we also get a callback to the language in Genesis chapter 1. Noah is blessed with the original blessing of being fruitful and multiply that's given to humanity in Genesis chapter 1, and the prohibition on taking human life is also expressed in terms of human beings being made in the image of God, which is also a reference to Genesis chapter 1. The story of Noah offering a sacrifice in Genesis chapter 8 must connect with other stories previously of offering sacrifice. In Genesis chapter 3 and 4, we have Abel offering a sacrifice, and we have God killing animals in order to provide animal skins for Adam and Eve. By spreading the stories out in this way, we can draw lines of continuity through these 2 different authorial approaches to the text and thereby discover the original authors of the Pentateuch.